Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our program tonight. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to start off this evening's program with a salute to the United States military. We're going to hear the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. I would ask everyone now to please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh, yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
America's finest, the United States military, guys. The United States military. I want to thank these gentlemen for doing this for us and allowing us to use this video every night. I want to also thank all of our armed forces around the world, wherever they might be. And I want to thank our allied armed forces as well, wherever they might be. God bless you, all of you young men and women, and thank you all for your service. God bless you, and may you return home to your families after your tours of duty end. We appreciate you all. God bless you all, and thank you all again for your service. Thank you so much. Folks, we have a lot to talk about tonight. Why? Something special happened today. Something big happened today. Okay? I want to show you what happened. Okay? A solar flare launched from the sun. Fortunately for us, it fired off just on the other side of the eastern what they call the terminator, which is the edge of the sun. Watch this. You're seeing the Solar Dynamic Observatory. Let's show it to you again. Watch that. Look at that. A huge X 3.4 magnitude solar flare. A magnitude 3.4 solar flare launched from the sun early this morning. Now, why am I talking about this specifically today? Because this solar flare is responsible for all of the earthquakes that hit the earth today. While the solar flare was not launched directly at the earth, it had kind of a sideways impact on the earth. Not quite powerful at the earth as it could have been. Like I said, it was just barely on the backside terminator of the sun. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But this solar flare was an X 3.4 class explosion just beyond the sun's southwestern limb, the terminator. Okay? This is the Solar Dynamics Observatory, what they call the SDO. The source of the flare appears to be a departing sunspot. Okay? Let me show you that sunspot now. Okay? The next thing I want to show you is this. Watch this happen. Okay? Over on the left side here. You don't see it so much over here on the left side. This is the EUV. Okay? You don't see it there, but you see it over here on the right-hand side at the coronal mass ejection goes proton flux that I just showed you. Okay? Let me show you something else. This was big. This was very big. Look where this solar flare launched off from the sun. Just barely on the other side of the terminator. If this had been an Earth-facing solar flare, we would have been in real trouble. Okay? I'm just saying, we would have been in real trouble. This is what it looked like when it launched. Look at all the plasma radiating off either hemisphere of the sun. That is a lot of prominence or plasma radiation launching off the sun. It's been a very active day. A very, very active day. Now, I had one other that I wanted to show you. If you'll just bear with me for just a second. Okay. 3572. I don't know why I just didn't load when I asked it to earlier, but I want to show it to you nonetheless. Okay. Over on the far right hand side of the sun. Okay. You see where it says on the very right hand side here? Sunspot 3572. This was just barely on the other side of the sun, on the back side of the sun. This is why we did not experience the full force of the solar flare. Now, what are we talking about here? Why is this so cotton picking necessary to show? The Solar Dynamics Observatory recorded the extreme ultraviolet flash that you saw. The source of the flare appears to be departing sunspot 3375. Because of the blast site, it was eclipsed by the edge of the sun. We did not see the full solar flare. Given that, the solar flare was probably even stronger than the X 3.4 classification suggests. This could have been upwards of a X 7.0. This was a big explosion. Hours after the flare's peak, Earth is still feeling the effects of the blast. Solar protons energized by the flare are following a curved magnetic field line from the sunspot all the way back to our planet. The curved magnetic field line. The resulting literal hailstorm of the plasma radiation, called a radiation storm, is still intensifying. The storm is still intensifying. The explosion also hurled a bright CME out into space. It will not hit Earth. Instead, a NASA model suggests that that same solar radiation flare will be heading for Mercury, Venus, and next Mars. It will hit all 3 planets this weekend. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, and so we expect Mercury to get hit within hours, literally, after the blast. It may have already been hit. Next, Venus, and then Mars. So, guys, this was a big deal, okay? This is why what I'm going to explain to you happened today, okay? We're going to show you a bunch of earthquakes, literally, guys. Now, I want to show you this. Early this morning, there was not early this morning. I was thinking about some other earthquakes. This afternoon, at about 1:47 p.m. Pacific time, a 4.6 magnitude earthquake hit in the Malibu Hills just north of the beach. Just north of Malibu Beach. You can see just some of the aftershocks. 2.4 on the right. 3.0 also to the right. Down below it, a 2.1. At the beach, a 2.4. Several more 2.2s at the beach as well. Then just southwest of the of the earthquake, we had a 2.0. West of there, we had a 2.3. So it's been a very active day in Malibu, California. Let me show you what exactly happened. This is the Malibu Hills just north of Malibu Beach. Decker Road is the road you see cutting through the Malibu Hills here. Decker Road. This is Fire Station 72. Los Angeles Fire Station 72. Just prior to this video snapshot, just prior to this being recorded, the fire engine that's sitting inside the fire station was out on the concrete just outside the fire station. In case this had been a foreshock of a much larger earthquake. Every earthquake that ever hits has a 25% chance of being a foreshock of a much larger earthquake. So automatically the fire stations roll out their equipment out onto the apron of the fire station. The video snapshot here was recorded just after that rolled back in. This is normal. This means they were authorized by the City of Los Angeles Emergency Management to roll the fire equipment or apparatus back into the station. Again, look at this earthquake, or this sunspot. Okay? That is responsible for everything that happened today. Okay? Multiple earthquakes all over Malibu, California. Quite a few earthquakes, huh? Oh yeah. And that is only the beginning of what happened today. Let me show you all of the earthquakes here. Okay? Look at all these earthquakes that were generated as a result of the 4.6 earthquake. A lot more earthquakes than they showed in that video presentation, right? Absolutely. Look at all these earthquakes. This was amazing. This literally was amazing, guys. It could have been much worse. It could very well have been a lot worse. And in fact, this is not the only earthquake that has hit here. Let's go over here and show you all of the earthquakes that have hit. Okay? I think you'll be very interested in what we're showing you tonight. It wasn't just Malibu, California that got hit. It was a lot more than that. Okay? At first, let's go north. Before we go there, look at the other earthquakes that hit on the San Andreas Fault today. Over here, southeast of Los Angeles. This was a 1.5 tremor. Northeast of there, a 0.1 tremor. A 1.0 tremor here. This is Vincent, California. North and east of there, this is on the Garlock Fault. This also is a 1.0 tremor here. Let's go further east. I want to take you up to Bodefish, California here. Bodefish, California. Folks, this is a volcanic area. A huge volcanic field here. This also happens to be a 1.0 tremor. Let's go further east. Over here in Ridgecrest. Remember good old Ridgecrest, guys? One whom Jesus loves is asking me, did the water weight play a part in the movement? I don't necessarily think that the water weight had anything to do with this. However, the water seepage into the fault did. The water seepage into the fault helped move the rock, helped cause the earthquake, along with the solar flare. Even though it was not Earth-directed, guess what? It did have an influence on it. Immediately after that solar flare launched off, the Earth immediately has earthquakes hitting. This earthquake here in Ridgecrest was a 0.7 microquake. North of there, Cyril's Valley at 1.3. Just north of Cyril's Valley here, also a 1.1 tremor here. We go further north, Little Lake, California. This was a little larger earthquake. This is a 2.1 minor earthquake. A 2.1 minor earthquake here in the Mojave Valley. Okay? I don't believe that this is over for the weekend. I believe the Mojave Desert area will have more earthquakes here all weekend long. We go further north. This is Olancha, California. 65 miles north of Ridgecrest. This is also a 2.1 earthquake. So, anywhere over here along the Garlock Fault, going up into the Ridgecrest area, all we had, folks, here was 1.0 tremors. Once we got up into Ridgecrest, again a 1.0. Going north from there, another 1.0. Over here we had a 1.1. Further north, a 2.1 here in Little Lake, California. Then over here in Alancha was another 2.1 earthquake. So it went from 1.0s over on the Garlock all the way up here to the north, a 2.1 here in Alancha. Now, why is Alancha special? Right after the Ridgecrest earthquake hit in 2019, July 4th, 2019. This whole area lit up like a Christmas tree. Thousands of earthquakes hit here. We had earthquakes up here in Alancha, the northern end of the Mojave Desert. Thousands of earthquakes. Alancha, California was one of the last spots to stop having earthquakes. One of the last places to have earthquakes after the Ridgecrest quake hit. This whole area was full of earthquakes. Alancha was the last place where the earthquakes stopped happening. Now, we're still seeing earthquakes here. Again, a 2.1 here in Alancha. These are aftershocks 4 years after the Ridgecrest quake hit. Prior to the Ridgecrest quake hitting, this area north of the Salton Sea, all the way north here to Ridgecrest, had thousands upon thousands of earthquakes. And then we had the Ridgecrest 7.1. Now, scientists, and I'm also in agreement with this, scientists believe that the Ridgecrest quake was a lot larger than the 7.1 that they first came out with. It may have been an 8.0 earthquake. It may have been even as large as a major 8.0 earthquake. A 7.1 is major enough, but an 8.0, 8.1 would be 100 times stronger than that. Okay? That's how powerful that was. And I don't believe that it's going to be the last quake that hits here in Ridgecrest. I believe there's a much more powerful earthquake coming to this area. Okay? I wanted to make sure you understood all of that. Okay? Going north. Okay? Solvang, California. Just south of Santa Barbara. Solvang, California had a 1.8 tremor. This is Scandinavian town of Solvang. I've been there, I love that town. Going north on the San Andreas Fault. Parkfield, California, a 1.2 tremor. Parkfield, California is the earthquake capital of California. We go north. Monterey Bay, California. San Juan Bautista, California, a 1.4 tremor here. Also, just east of Monterey Bay in San Juan Bautista. Okay? Going north, just on the eastern side of San Francisco Bay. This is a 1.3 tremor in Alamo, California, on the Hayward Fault. The Hayward Fault. Then we go north here. Can anybody tell me what this place is? Look at all these earthquakes here. Each and every one of them is an earthquake, a tremor or a microquake. This is the geysers. This is a geothermal facility here just south of the Clear Lake volcano. The Clear Lake volcano is what you see just to the north of the geysers. The geysers is where men have dug in or drilled into the upper magma chambers of the Clear Lake volcano to obtain steam to power turbines in the geysers facility. Why is this so important? Every time seismic energy hits one of these man-made earthquake faults. Yes, folks, every time men drill into the surface of the earth, it creates a man-made earthquake fault. And as a result of those earthquake faults, we continue to get earthquakes, literally all over the place. A lot of earthquakes. And that's exactly what's been happening. A ton of earthquakes, guys. A ton. Now I want to, if I'm able to find it, I probably won't find it on the USGS map here, but I will find it here on my device here. Okay? I want to show you this. This is important. Okay? Can you all see what I'm showing you here? This is just but one set of turbines in the geysers facility. There's over 80 turbines here in the geysers facility. 80 turbines. Men have drilled into the Clear Lake or upper magma chambers of the Clear Lake volcano. Let me show you some of those drill points. Those drill points are just outside of that turbine facility. Look what I'm showing you here. Drill points right next to those turbines. Those drill points pull steam out of that volcano and feed it to those turbines. There are all kinds of other feeder links to the turbines all over the hills in the geysers facility. There's a bunch of them. For example, I'm going to show you some more right here. This is completely separate. Each of these drill points feeds steam to another set of turbines. Okay? That's what's here in the geysers. That's what's here in the geysers. Now let me show you what I've shown you here. If you can see that earthquake right there, right next to it, you see another geysers facility where turbines are there. Okay? Let's back this out. Look at all the earthquakes all over the geysers. Okay? This gives you an idea of what's actually happening there. Every one of those drill points is important because those drill points attract seismic energy. Yes, these are man-made earthquake faults. That's why we have so many earthquakes here. Typically, we have 25 to 35 earthquakes here in this area. We have had as many as 60 earthquakes in a given day, right here in the geysers facility. Right now you see here pictured 3 new earthquakes here. This one here, down here near the center of the geysers facility, is a 0.8 microquake. We go north and west. This also is a 0.8. We go just a little bit further north and west here. This is a 0.7. They range anywhere from 0.5 to 2.0 earthquakes. This one here is a 1.5 tremor. Okay? I wanted to show you that. A lot of people don't even realize what happens here. It does not matter whether man drilled into the upper magma chambers of a volcano to obtain steam. Because every drill point, including when they drill straight down or perpendicular or over to the either side, east, north, west, or south. If they drill for oil and gas, the same thing applies. Those drill points become man-made earthquake faults. Man-made earthquake faults. Let me back this out. Let's go over here to southwestern Texas, even over into central Texas. Look at these. These are earthquakes. These are oil and gas fields. Oil and gas fields. You can see the oil and gas drilling platforms all over the hills here in southwestern Texas. The same thing applies. The drill points can go straight down underneath the platform. They can go side to side. They can go perpendicular. They can also go straight down. If they go straight down, they can go straight down up to 10 miles deep. 10 miles deep. We have had earthquakes 10 miles deep here under the Texas soil here. Okay? This earthquake here, this is a 2.3. This is a 2.6. This further to the west is a 1.8 tremor. So far you've seen minor earthquakes and tremors. Further east here in Toyah, Texas, this is a 1.7 tremor here. Also oil and gas. You can see the oil and gas platform plots all over this area. We also have another earthquake further east here. Also oil and gas. Now, you can see the oil and gas platforms here. This is a 1.7. USGS says this is also Toyah, Texas, or near Toyah, Texas. 53 kilometers northeast of Toyah, Texas. Okay? You also see these water facilities, these ponds as they call it. Around the ponds, they have either earthen walls or they have sandbags around the ponds because they pull in treated wastewater. Treated wastewater. You see them all over the map here. These ponds have treated wastewater that they inject down into the drill point, down into the hole to obtain steam obtain gas and oil. Some of the earthquakes are caused by the injection of water down into the hole. Injecting water helps them to break up the rock and bring up the oil from the shale, the rock down inside the earth here. Okay? but they also cause earthquakes. Okay? I want to make sure everybody understands this. These are just some of the earthquakes that have happened. This earthquake further east and south here is in Quinosa, Texas. This is a 2.0 earthquake. Or Quinosa, Texas. This is also right smack dab in the middle of oil and gas fields here. And you can see them all over this area. Look at that. Literally all over this area. Earthquakes hit in oil and gas fields because the man-made drill points are earthquake faults. The seismic energy hits these earthquake faults. It shatters the rock inside these man-made earthquake faults. That moves the earth. It's called tectonic. Usually anywhere else it would be called tectonic plate earthquakes. This is not tectonic plates. These are man-made earthquake faults here. A lot of them. A lot of them. In Oklahoma alone, they have 586,000 drill points, pumps and jacks. No one has even given me a good figure for all the oil and gas platforms in Texas. Texas is the biggest state in the country, probably with more oil and gas platforms than any other state, including Oklahoma. Up here to the northeast Texas. This is Westbrook, Texas. Let me show you this. Also, oil and gas plots all over this place. Look at that. This is also an oil and gas field here. This earthquake here in blue is a 2.6 minor earthquake. And I just saw the other earthquake disappear, which means they've taken that down. What a bunch of crock. None of these earthquakes hit over 24 hours ago. But they just made one of those earthquakes disappear. Isn't that just like the agency? Now, I am going to have to bring this back. They don't like us to show these earthquakes. I believe USGS takes their maps down and freezes them. Okay? I'm going to go back to the United States real quick. I have a lot of other earthquakes to show you. A ton of earthquakes to show you. Large earthquakes. Very strong sixes here today. Well, I'm down here in the South Pacific. Just quickly. Down here north of New Zealand. This is a 6.1 very strong earthquake. This is in the Kermadec Islands, north of New Zealand. The Kermadec Islands are uninhabited islands. The only thing that's on these islands here in the Kermadec Islands are birds. It's a bird sanctuary. The only thing disturbed here was birds here. Occasionally we have scientists that go over here in the Kermadec Islands. They're only here on the Kermadec Islands for a very short time. The only time they can come into the Kermadec Islands is during high tide. Because if they come in at any other time, the rocks surrounding the Kermadec Islands would tear up their boats and sink them. So they come here for about an hour or so and then get the heck out of the area. This is a very strong 6.1 earthquake in the Kermadec Islands. It's not the only earthquakes that have hit here. South in the New Zealand area here, in the New Zealand region, the two islands comprising New Zealand, we have 2.3s, 3.5s. We even have a 4.0 that hit here, and USGS is not talking about it. Rarely does USGS even show earthquakes here, like today. They're not showing one dadgum earthquake here. Yet there are about 15 to 16 earthquakes here in New Zealand today. Heaven forbid they show them to us. Okay? North of there, this is southern Fiji, the Fiji regions. This is a moderate 4.5 earthquake. Folks, this is 600 kilometers deep. This is a very deep earthquake. A 4.5 earthquake, being 600 kilometers deep, will propagate a 5.6, 5.7 earthquake. Meaning it will propagate a stronger, more shallow earthquake. Somewhere in the next 3 to 10 days, either in this region or west into the Loyalty Islands, the Solomon Islands, or even over into Papua New Guinea or Australia, or even over to the east in Chile and Argentina. Someplace within the next 3 to 10 days, we are going to have a minimum of a 5.6 to 5.7 earthquake as a result of this 4.5 earthquake here today. 600 kilometers deep. North of there, this is a 5.3 earthquake, a large 5.3. This is also 542 kilometers deep. This was a large 5.3 in or near Levuka, Fiji, approximately 218 kilometers east-northeast of Levuka, Fiji. As a result of this earthquake, this was not quite as deep as the one further south. This is quite a bit deep as well, but not quite as deep. This is only 442 kilometers deep. This will also propagate, guys, a minimum of a 6.1 earthquake. A very strong 6.1 earthquake. Again, it could go west into Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, the Loyalty Islands further to the south and west, or even over here into Australia. Or like I said, it could end up hitting over here in Argentina or Chile. We shall see where it ends up. The next earthquake I want to show you here. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. This is 151 kilometers east-southeast of Samoa. East-southeast of Samoa. Everybody else besides USGS has it east-southeast of Samoa. USGS has it east-northeast of Hihuipotonga. Okay? Isn't it interesting how that happens? We have a red earthquake, the only one listed here in Indonesia. There are 18 earthquakes here in Indonesia. they're showing us one earthquake. This is a moderate 4.7 earthquake. 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. There are a lot more earthquakes than this. Okay? They're not being honest with us at all. Rarely is the USGS ever honest. And people say that I rag on them. I haven't finished ragging on them. I'm not going to be finished ragging on them. They're also not showing moderate earthquakes and small earthquakes off the northeast shore of Mindanao, Philippines. There was a major earthquake that hit here about 2 months ago. We're still seeing moderate and small earthquakes, aftershocks of the major earthquake that hit here 2 months ago. USGS doesn't have the heart to be honest with anybody. Jamie Wilkie says, Ron, did you get a haircut? No. I washed it. No, I didn't get a haircut. I haven't had a haircut for about a month. It might need to be touched up again. I might have to go get at least one more haircut. Just one haircut. Just a tiny little hair. I'm kidding, guys. There are other earthquakes here in the Philippines that they're not telling us about. I shake my head. I do. I want to go over here to Japan. Over here in the Sea of Japan. Just about a month ago, in the Sea of Japan, we had another major earthquake here. A major earthquake. What can I say? The agency still doesn't want us to see earthquakes hitting here. Folks, this earthquake is out in the Sea of Japan, west of the Noto Peninsula that you see here. The Noto Peninsula was the location, the epicenter of a major earthquake that hit here just about 4 weeks ago. This earthquake here is 196 kilometers northwest of Mikuni, Japan. This is a moderate 4.1 earthquake, a moderate earthquake. But again, this is a semi-deep earthquake. This is 386 kilometers deep. 386 kilometers deep. This is a 4.1 earthquake. Because of the depth of this earthquake and the size of this earthquake, this is only going to generate a possible larger, shallower earthquake of a 4.5 to 4.6 earthquake. And it will be in this same region. It will hit either over further west in the Korean Peninsula or over in China here, almost directly west, or it could hit in the Mariana Islands, or it could hit here on mainland Japan. But this also is not the only earthquake that hit here in the Sea of Japan. 4 other earthquakes have hit here. 4 other earthquakes. Just off the southern coast of Noto, Philippines. Haikui County. Let me show you this. Haikui County. This is a 2.1 earthquake. North and more central into the peninsula, we have a 3.0 earthquake near Noto, Ishikawa, Japan. This is a 3.0 earthquake near Noto, Hiwakasha, Japan, or Ishikawa, Japan. Noto is a peninsula here. Okay? Just northwest of there, also on the peninsula, This is a 2.7 earthquake here. Okay? And to the north of Noto, Japan, this is a moderate 4.0 earthquake. A moderate 4.0 earthquake hit here. We've had 5 earthquakes that can be related to the major earthquake that hit here just a month ago. USGS shows us 1. What a crock that is. Just so you know, this is 6.2 kilometers deep. Or I'm sorry, 6.2 miles deep. Okay? 10 kilometers deep. Also, Japan has also had 3 other earthquakes. This one here on the southern side of Honshu. This is a 4.7 earthquake, 166 kilometers deep. This is still very shallow, even though 166 kilometers is a big number. This is still a fairly shallow earthquake. North of that earthquake, this is a 3.8 earthquake here. Okay? North of here, in northeastern Honshu, Kensinuma, Miyagi, Japan. This is a 3.1 earthquake here. Okay? That's still a lot of energy, guys. This is 43.5 miles deep. Still a fairly shallow earthquake. Then, I want to pull up here. We go past Hokkaido. We see the Kuril Islands here. We go over here just east of Kamchatka Peninsula. USGS still fails to show us another earthquake here. Interesting enough. Let me show you something. This is a 4.75 earthquake here. A moderate 4.75. It's an upper 4. If this was on land, it could have caused just moderate damage. Just barely moderate damage. It's an upper 4. It's on the way to becoming a large earthquake. This, folks, is 10 kilometers deep. .2 miles deep. Okay? A 4.75 earthquake. Again, USGS didn't have the heart to tell us about that one, did they? Just like they didn't say anything about that other 4 further south, huh? Adak, Alaska. Adak, Alaska. I want to show you this because this is important to understand. A minus 0.25 earthquake, 53 miles west of Adak. A minus 0.35 earthquake is near a volcano. It's in the foothills of another volcano over here near Adak Island. There's 2 earthquakes here. A 0.35, a minus 0.35, and a minus 0.16 right here. Okay? Interesting. Okay? Interesting enough. But it appears that the European agency is also not showing earthquakes, but the USGS is. This is a minus 0.3 earthquake. in the foothills of the volcano. This is a 0.5 here. This is a 1.5 tremor. Just off the coast is a 0.8. This is 5.5 kilometers deep. Further out here to the east is a minus 0.3. Now I'm going to pose a question to you while we have this supposed minus 0.3. How can this be above sea level? I want to ask you this question. How can this be above sea level when this is off the coast of Aveyah? This is in the water. Again, this is impossible. This is not a minus 0.3 here. Possibly a 0.03 or 0.3 period. This is not above sea level, it's under the ground, under the sea here, in the ground. This happens to be 6.3 kilometers deep. Out to the east of there we have a 0.3, and we also have a 0.2, but they have this as a minus 0.2 as well. They're wrong. Those are not minus numbers. This is under the sea here. Okay? This happens to be 8.3 kilometers deep. There's no way it could be above sea level. Okay? Jordan Rayner is here in the chat saying, how many days until Christmas? There are a few days before Christmas, guys. Probably close to 48 days to, 48 days since this past Christmas. Figure it out. Okay? So USGS shows us those earthquakes. They're also showing us another earthquake just west of the volcano here that the European agency didn't show us. This happens to be on the western rim of the volcano. This is a 0.3 microquake here, 11.4 kilometers deep inside this volcano. So there are times when the USGS will show us earthquakes. Okay, isn't that interesting? They will show us some earthquakes, but not others. These are just microquakes and one tremor. When are they going to show important earthquakes? Important earthquakes. Okay? Inquiring minds want to know. The European agency is showing one earthquake here out into the ocean. Okay, I'm going to show you the same thing that the USGS is reporting here. This is a 1.14 earthquake. 1.14 tremor. Out in the ocean. This is east-southeast, supposedly, of Adak, Alaska. 36 miles east-southeast of Adak, Alaska. Europeans aren't showing this other earthquake that USGS is showing. This is just south of the volcano here. Again, this is showing to be out in the ocean. And yet, USGS is showing this to be a minus 0.7, meaning above sea level. This is not above sea level, guys. USGS can take a bite on that one. Again. Okay? We go further east here. This is Nikolsky, Alaska. Nikolsky, Alaska. I want to show you this. This is fun. Okay? They show this to be a 3.2 earthquake. They're showing it to be a 3.2 earthquake. This is interesting. This is 51 kilometers deep. Would you like me to show you another earthquake that USGS didn't show you? I just love this. I bet I get the kick out of it. I get the biggest kick out of this. See this island here? I'm sorry, that's not it. This is it here. Okay? This is just southwest of the volcano. Look at that. Just southwest of the volcanic rim here, on the flank of the volcano. This is a 1.1 tremor. Okay? Over here, this is also on the flank of a vent in that same volcano, meaning that volcano erupted and the lava flowed out of this vent. This is a 0.8 microquake. This is a 0.7 here. Also 66 kilometers northeast of Nikolsky, Alaska. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. This is that same earthquake reported by the European agency. In this case, the Europeans are reporting this to be a 0.78 microquake. 0.78 microquake here. Okay? This other one here is a 0.74. Okay? USGS reports this at 66 kilometers northeast of Nikolsky. The Europeans are reporting this as 41 miles. They're reporting this as 41 miles northeast of Nikolsky. Who's right? Who's right? Earthquake's right next to a volcano, and it has erupted before. Then, let's go further east into mainland Alaska. Okay? Right up here. Look at these tremors here. One earthquake just got through happening. This is a 2.3 minor earthquake. This is out here in the Cook Inlet here. This waterway going between the peninsula of Alaska and this other peninsula to the east here. Okay? The waterway, the Cook Inlet. This is a 2.3 earthquake. Wow. A minor earthquake. Down here, Old Ililama volcano. We're still getting caches of earthquakes here. 1.3, 1.0. And off here to the east of this volcano, this is a 1.2 tremor. Fascinating. A volcano having an earthquake and steaming. That means Old Ililama volcano is active, doesn't it? How about this earthquake here? Kokanook, I had a bad time pronouncing this the other day as well. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. Going again out here into the waterway, the Cook Inlet, this is a 3.1 small earthquake here. Out here, just barely in the Gulf of Alaska, we have another 3.0 earthquake here. That's okay. That's okay. As we go further up here into southern Alaska, Meadow Lakes, Alaska, 1.8 tremor. This is a 2.4 earthquake at Tenia, Alaska. Tenia, Alaska. How about this one out to the east of that? This is Chicatoon, Alaska. How about that? I love the name of Chicatoon, Alaska. This is a 2.1 minor earthquake here. Fascinating, huh? Actually, pretty fascinating to boot. Okay? Why am I even saying that? Because USGS is showing us only one earthquake over here. Nelchina, Alaska. A 2.3 earthquake. Fascinating. Okay? A 2.1 earthquake in Chicaloon, Alaska here. USGS called it Chicatoon. This is Chicaloon shown by the European agency. Okay? Going north. Denali, Alaska. Denali National Park, Alaska. This is a 2.0 earthquake. 2.0 earthquake over here in Denali. Okay? Fascinating, huh? USGS shows this as a 1.9. Europeans have it as a 2.0. Directly north of that earthquake. Directly north of that earthquake. Again, we have more earthquakes here. This is Salcha, Alaska again. More aftershocks. 2 weeks ago, we had a 5.1 earthquake here. 1.4 tremor there. A 1.4 tremor there. And another 1.4 tremor there. Look what it's next to. We have a volcano right there. We have a river right there. Many times rivers have an earthquake fault underneath them. Rivers disguise earthquake faults a lot. A lot. So these earthquakes here may be a result of two different things. One, being near a volcano. Two, the earthquake fault. 1.4 tremors, all of them. This other earthquake just happened here. Ferry, Alaska. Another 2.0 earthquake. Out here to the northwest. Manly Hot Springs. We haven't had an earthquake here in Manly Hot Springs for some time. This is also a 2.0 earthquake here. We've been getting a lot of 2.0 earthquakes. A lot. A lot. Okay? Now, there are more earthquakes. There are a few more earthquakes. Further south here, Yakutak, Alaska, southeastern Alaska. This happens to be a 3.5 earthquake. But again, USGS is missing an earthquake. Northwest of there, a 1.70 tremor. A 1.70 tremor northwest of Yakutak, Alaska. Okay? Let's go further south. See what we find here. Yes, we are on a voyage of discovery here. I just love this. Just south of Sitka, Alaska. USGS has this as at minus 0.1. Again, supposed to mean above sea level. Sorry guys, USGS, you're wrong. But USGS also has this as a 5.2 miles deep. Interesting. 5.2 miles deep, yet they have it as above sea level. Fascinating. I just love that word, fascinating. Dr. Spock. What do you think of that earthquake? Fascinating. Further north, closer to the volcano, a 0.7. Minus 0.1. Okay, I'll take that, minus 0.1. That means it's above sea level. This one right here next to the ocean here, right next to the beach. This is a 0.4. Also 5.7 miles deep. Let's go further north towards the volcano. 0.7 tremor. Not minus, 0.1 microquake. The volcano's right there. Right there. It's been rumbling for some time. A lot of time. This is only the first time in months that the USGS has even admitted it. Okay? We have another volcano right here. It's called Wardell Volcano. USGS is not showing anything. So neither is anyone else. But this volcano is showing signs of life as well. Okay? Let's go south. I love going south. This red line that you're seeing here is part of the Cascadia subduction zone, an earthquake fault that runs along the coast of North America here on the west coast. It runs all the way down along the side of Canada, Washington, and Oregon. I want to show you some earthquakes over here in Washington. See what you think. This is over here at the entrance to the Strait of Juan de Fuca, Washington State. This is a 1.8 tremor here. Nia Bay, Washington, at the entrance to the Strait of Juan de Fuca. South of there, a 1.4 tremor here. Queets, Washington. Queets, Washington. A 1.4 tremor. This is over just west of Mount Olympus. Another volcano here. USGS never wants to admit to earthquakes here, yet they are having earthquakes here at Mount Olympus here in the Olympic Peninsula. Let's go further east. I just love this. Marcel, Stillwater, Washington. Up until about a year ago, we didn't see too many earthquakes here. But about a year ago, we started seeing earthquakes and tremors here. Today, we have a 0.4 microquake. Marcel, Stillwater, Washington. We go further south. Riverbend, Washington. Riverbend, Washington. Why are we having an earthquake here? Guess what? We have an earthquake fault here. This river is an earthquake fault, guys. 1.3 tremor here. Okay? Let's go just a bit further here. USGS has this as a 0.8 microquake west-northwest of Mount Rainier. It's in the foothills of Mount Rainier. Now I'm going to take this, I just took myself down. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to take this map down because I want to show you what is really happening here. Let's go over here. Well, I want to show you this other one first. Let's go over here and show you what is happening at Mount Rainier. Folks, hold on a second. This is Emerald Ridge at Mount St. Helens. There are a lot more things happening here at Mount Rainier. Number one, there are plenty of tremors here. You can see these tiny vertical lines here. There are larger vertical lines. We have tiny vertical lines here. The vertical lines you see here with dots in the middle of them, if these vertical lines here are tall enough, those are earthquakes. The smaller vertical lines you see are tremors and microquakes. So this earthquake that USGS is trying to tell us we want to see is a 0.8 microquake. There are tons of microquakes here. Let's look at this tall red vertical line here. This is an earthquake. By all stretches of the imagination, this is at least a 2.2, 2.3 earthquake here at Mount Rainier. USGS is not telling us about it. Not saying one word about it. How about this other earthquake that happened after 10:09 a.m. this morning? This is a fairly long earthquake. This is at least a 3.0 earthquake. At least a 3.0 earthquake. Rebecca, NCWQ Rebecca, doesn't really know how to read earthquakes, these vertical lines. Once you start seeing a number of them, and the more and more research you do, you can pretty much tell how strong one of these earthquakes or tremors are. This is a long vertical line. This is at least a 3.0 earthquake. Okay? So we've had a 2.3 minor earthquake last night after about 12:13 a.m. this morning. That's when that minor earthquake happened. This earthquake here, 10:09 a.m. this morning. Interesting enough. Look at this wiggly horizontal line here. Folks, this is a 6.1 earthquake down in the Kermadec Islands in New Zealand. That is a very strong 6.1 earthquake recorded here at Mount Rainier. How about this one here? How about this one here? What else has happened around the globe? What else has happened around the globe that could cause this line to generate these wiggly lines here? This is another very strong earthquake. Okay? here at Mount Rainier. I'm not going away from Mount Rainier yet. I want to show you this. This is another seismogram from Emerald Ridge. The seismograph at Emerald Ridge, which is a machine, the seismogram is the readout here that you see. The seismograph is a machine here at Emerald Ridge. Folks, what are we seeing here? Okay? Number one, you're seeing wavy lines here. This is the HHN channel, I'm sorry. You're seeing the HHN channel here. The Rainier Emerald Ridge seismograph is a 5-channel seismograph, multi-channel seismograph, meaning it can give us 5 different seismograms. I showed you one just a few minutes ago. The main seismogram is down. Either the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network doesn't want to show it to us, or that channel is just down. They've disconnected it. However, this is the HHN channel. This shows us vibrational waves, radio waves generated by the magma coming into Mount Rainier. When the horizontal lines here are not that wavy, it means there's less magma. This seismogram started recording information at 5 p.m. yesterday afternoon, Pacific time. You're seeing some pretty good wavy lines here generated by magma. There's a lot of magma coming into Mount Rainier. But what happened just before midnight here? You go over here to the left. 2200. It says 22 on the left-hand side. That's 2200 hours. 10 p.m. last night. At 10 p.m. last night, the magma activity was getting stronger. More magma coming into the volcano. After midnight, and before 4 o'clock this morning, you see a lot of wavy lines here. Heavy duty wavy lines, meaning more and more magma intruding into the volcano, incoming into the volcano. And yet, USGS is trying to only tell us about a microquake. I showed you 2 earthquakes, and there probably were more, because the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network also withholds information. They're not quite as honest as they would want to be, or as they tell us that they want to be. Okay? We're showing a lot of magma coming in here to the volcano. Over here on the right-hand side, remember me telling you that just after midnight, about 12:13 a.m. this morning, we had a tremor? You see a tiny vertical line over here on the right-hand side. That's a tremor. We scroll up here, and we can see that vertical line here. This was at least a 3.0 earthquake, probably a little bit larger than that. Okay? That's a lot of seismic information. They show us a microquake, and yet we have 2 full-blown earthquakes, 1 minor and 1 small earthquake. What's wrong with this picture? They're still not giving us the information that they could. USGS is not giving it to us, and either is the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. They're hiding information here. Plain and simple hiding information. Sad. It's a sad day when we find that the agencies refuse to tell us what's going on, or they out and out lie about it. They out and out lie about it, and they're not showing anything here. They're not showing a darn thing. How about over here at Mount St. Helens? They're not showing anything here. But I can tell you right now, there are microquakes, there are tremors, and there are also full-blown earthquakes here. Minor and small earthquakes hitting all over Mount St. Helens. But yet they're not talking about it. Over here, this is Mount Adams. Rarely, if ever, USGS or even the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network shows anything going on here. And yet, this is still a very active volcano. About 2.5 years ago, they turned the information off here at Mount Adams. Occasionally, they will show some tremors or steam exiting the volcano, which means Mount Adams is active, because in order to have steam, we must have magma coming into the volcano. So Mount Adams is active and it's steaming. Now, over here, what did we learn about last night? This is Goat Rocks. Goat Rocks is another volcano here in Washington. Goat Rocks is between Rainier and Mount Adams. So this is Goat Rocks. Yes, we're having earthquakes here at Goat Rocks. Does this mean that Goat Rocks is getting active? Probably. All of the volcanoes worldwide are reactivating. Okay? But again, we're only hearing what they want us to know. Plain and simple. Down here at Mount Hood, they haven't said lick of anything here at Mount Hood today. But I can guarantee you there are some minor earthquakes, and there's also a bunch of tremors here at Mount Hood. I want to show you something else. Okay? This diamond here is usually representative of an explosion. An explosion. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network and the USGS is calling this a 1.7 tremor here. Northeast of Louisville, Washington. I want to show you where this is, and you can tell me what you think. Okay? Is this an explosion, or is this something else? What do you think this could be? What do you think it might be? I just laugh. Okay? It doesn't look to be an explosion to me. One, if this is an explosion, there must be a reason for it. Over here to the west, there's homes, there's farms over here. Further to the west, there's more people living here. So what I'm thinking here, this is not an explosion. It's just not an explosion. What do you think it might be? A 1.7 or 1.69 explosion. I'm going to go over to the European model, and I want to show you a closer up view of where this earthquake is. It's in a field. It looks to have some trees there. So just in the case that there was an explosion, they're possibly clearing trees, or This was spontaneous combustus carnivorous, an exploding tree. Just saying. It's happened before. It could happen again. An exploding tree in Washington State. We go further south over here in Oregon. Cascadia, Oregon, northwest of Cascadia, Oregon. They're calling this a 0.8 microquake. Right there. A 0.8 microquake. This is also under a grove of trees here. A huge grove of trees. This is 11.5 kilometers deep. So yes, this was a microquake here. A microquake. The other was a tremor out in the middle of that field or that grove of trees. Okay? I just love showing you that. Further down here to the south, we have an earthquake in the Cascadia subduction zone. This appears to be on the Gorda Escarpment in the Triple Junction, where the Gorda Escarpment meets the Cascadia subduction zone and the San Andreas Fault. This happens to be a 2.9 3.0 earthquake here at the Triple Junction. Just recently, further north, we had a large earthquake. We had a large earthquake just off the Blanco fracture zone right here. This is the Blanco fracture zone. Right here. A 5.0 earthquake. Also overall in the Cascadia subduction zone region. We also had another moderate earthquake over here between the Cascadia subduction zone and the coast of Oregon. We keep getting these. The Cascadia subduction zone region is alive and well. Very much alive and well. Further east here from that earthquake, we have two more here. This is a 2.3 just off the coast of Petrolia, California, right next to the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault. One of the most deadly faults in the United States. Right on the coastline of Northern California here, near Petrolia. This is a 1.7 tremor here. Now, just to make sure everyone understands, let me back this out for a minute. I'm going to go back over here to the Strait of Juan de Fuca, where we had this 1.8 tremor here. Just off the coast here, on the Cascadia subduction zone, or out here on the Juan de Fuca Fault, the Farallon Fault out here. This is where most scientists believe that the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to occur. It will be at least a 9.0, 10.0 major earthquake. When it happens, the entire Seattle-Tacoma area will be pretty much destroyed by that earthquake. The seismic waves will shatter the earth over here. They will shatter windows. The seismic waves from that earthquake will damage homes. It will cause liquefaction, meaning the water table to rise near the surface, and anything including landfills will become like quicksand. Homes, buildings, telephone and power poles, trees, cars, fences, and even human beings that are standing in this area will sink into the quicksand. How deep will they sink? We don't know. But this whole area will become infatuated with liquefaction, quicksand. The earthquake will last for a while. It could last upwards of 5 or 10 minutes. As I've shown you seismograms here in the past, we see some seismograms lasting, earthquakes on the seismograms lasting 2 to 3 to 4 minutes, some of them longer. This will be a major earthquake. The seismic waves will shake this area for a long period of time. After the earthquake is finished shaking, the water out here on the coast will disappear. Great sections of coastline won't see water where it used to be. The water will be traveling out to sea. Wasn't this just great? They did it to me again. Let me take the map down. They did it to me again. That's okay. That's okay. They've done it to us once. They've done it to us twice. They've actually done it to us quite a few times. So let's bring the map back. Because I feel like something else is going to happen. And something else has happened. Okay? We've had a lot of earthquakes. And a lot more earthquakes are going to hit here. Fact. When that happens, the water along the shorelines will disappear. It will go out to sea. Within 15 to 20 minutes after the earth stops shaking, suddenly, the people living in this area, up and down the entire coastline of North America, are going to see the water return to the shoreline. Very large waves of water will be hitting the shoreline within 15 or 20 minutes after the earth stops shaking. You're going to see a tsunami wave, anywhere from 75 feet high to upwards of 150 feet high. Not just one wave, but multiple waves. 20, 30, we don't know how many waves there's going to be. There's going to be multiple waves here. What the earth doesn't take down, the tsunami will. The water will reach far inland, 15, 20, 25 miles inland. People will drown. What people were not killed by the earthquake, the water will drown people. During the earthquake, mobs of people will be running eastbound, trying to save themselves, and rightfully so. They have a reason to live, just like everybody else. But the only people that will be escaping the tsunami will be those people that make it over the bridges that span multitudes of gullies, rivers, in four-wheel drive vehicles, motorcycles, ATVs, and possibly bicycles. You must be able to have a way to get over the bridges, because the bridges will be destroyed by the earthquake. And again, what the earthquake doesn't destroy, the water will. The water will fill up the waterways, the rivers, the streams. And they will be roaring waterways full of water, filling every piece of land around here. Where you see lakes, you're going to see rivers, large bodies of water after that earthquake hits. All over here. Literally all over this area. The tsunami will happen up and down the entire coastline. The entire coastline of North America, Canada, and the United States is a subduction zone, meaning that the Pacific Plate, the Farallon Plate, the Juan de Fuca Plate are going to go underneath the North American Plate. It's called subduction. The entire area up here in Alaska will also have the Pacific Plate going up underneath it. The Pacific Plate will subduct under here, under Alaska as well. From Alaska down south into Mexico. Down south into Mexico here. Then you're going to see the tsunami hit. The tsunami. Like I said, it will be a very large tsunami, high waves, multiple waves, not just one or two, but multiple waves. We don't know how many. What the earth does not take down with a quake, the tsunami will. When this earthquake happens, you see the Cascadia subduction zone here, this long red line running along the coast of Canada, Washington, and Oregon. Guess what? Down here in Northern California, it connects with the Garlock Fault, or not the Garlock, the Gorda Escarpment here, and the San Andreas. On December 23rd, 2020, Chris Goldfinger, who is a professor of geology and seismology at the University of Oregon, came down here to San Francisco. And he held a conference that day, right before Christmas, and said that there is a very good possibility, probably close to 100% possibility, that the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake will trigger the San Andreas because it connects here in the triple junction with the San Andreas and the Gorda Escarpment. So that great big 10.0 magnitude earthquake, that very strong earthquake, that major earthquake, it's going to trigger the San Andreas all the way down here into San Francisco. The shaking from the San Andreas here will likely trigger the Hayward and the Calaveras out further to the east. So this whole area will shake and roll. Shake, rattle, and roll. But that's not all, folks. There's more. The San Andreas Fault goes right down through Central California here. It goes down here through the central part of California, just east of Santa Barbara, east of Los Angeles here. Then it travels down here to the Imperial Valley, Southern California. What's going to happen now? The San Andreas Fault will cause the earth to quake down here. all the way down here into the Imperial Valley. The San Andreas Fault also travels across the Mexican border into northern Mexico. It travels all the way down here into the Gulf of California. All the way down here through the Gulf of California. There's a very good possibility that by the time it reaches this area, it will stop shaking. But there is a possibility that the shaking might continue all the way down here into southern Mexico. By the way, guys, USGS did not even think of showing you earthquakes down here in the southernmost part of Mexico. There are 20 earthquakes down here. Earlier today, the European agency showed at least 20 other earthquakes down there in southern Mexico. Interesting how that happens. Because the U.S. agency won't show anything. Earthquakes happening in southern Mexico right here. They're not showing that, are they? Heaven forbid. USGS is showing us one earthquake here. This is in the Mexican Riviera. Mexican Riviera here. This is just south of Puerto Vallarta. Right here. Puerto Vallarta. Here we have a 4.7 moderate earthquake here, just off the coast of Cruz de Loreto, Mexico. A 4.7 earthquake. 63 kilometers deep. Okay? Today down here in the Gulf of California, we've had several other earthquakes, haven't we? A lot more earthquakes than this. USGS is showing us this 4.7, another 4.7, and another 4.4. This earthquake is 10 kilometers deep. This earthquake is 10 kilometers deep. And this earthquake is 10 kilometers deep. 6.2 miles deep, all of them. Folks, there's more earthquakes than that. Look at that. Again, USGS can never tell us the truth, can they? European agency doesn't tell us the truth about everything either. Okay? This first one, out in the middle of the Gulf of California. This is a 3.8 earthquake. That's a 3.8. 9 miles deep. This is a 4.0 earthquake. Right next to it, this is a 4.2 earthquake. Just south of there, another 4.2 earthquake. Nine miles deep. South of here, this is a 4.7 off the coast of Loreto, Mexico. Right here, the 4.7 off the coast of Loreto, Mexico. Okay? Over here to the west, the other 4.7 here. And down south here, this is a 4.4 earthquake here that they did not show us. 7 earthquakes. They show us 3. Guys, seismic energy is moving north. This seismic energy is moving north. We had 7 moderate earthquakes here. 7 moderate earthquakes. What does that mean? 7 moderate earthquakes means a 5.3 earthquake. That is equivalent to a 5.3 earthquake. That is moving north. It's likely to hit the Imperial Valley, or at least northern Mexico. At least northern Mexico. Why am I concerned? April 3rd, 2010. It was said, or we were told, that we had a 7.1 earthquake right here. The epicenter being Guadalupe, Victoria, Mexico. Now they believe that earthquake was closer to an 8.0. It was felt all the way over here in the Imperial Valley, in the town of Calexico. Buildings were destroyed or damaged in Calexico. In Mexicali, a couple people were killed. Buildings and homes were shattered in Mexicali. Again, the architecture in Mexico is not what it should be. That's why many of the homes and cardboard shacks that people lived in were destroyed. The earthquake was felt all the way over here into San Diego. Buildings swayed here. Windows flew out of skyscrapers and smashed down on the pavement in downtown San Diego. Nothing was totally destroyed but the windows. I was there during a drill for a possible earthquake. Yes, the earthquake hit. We went from doing a drill to what they call real world. Real world. Do you think people should be concerned? Absolutely. Absolutely they should be concerned. Folks, the Cascadia megathrust earthquake is coming. Promise. Promise. You see a red earthquake here. This just happened. This is just northeast of Escondido, California. This is Lake Henshaw. This is Lake Henshaw. There are a cache of earthquakes here. That is a 1.6 tremor. Just happened. A 0.7 microquake, a 1.0 tremor here, a 1.0 tremor here, and a 0.8 microquake here. Lake Henshaw is right here. We're getting seismic energy as far north as there. What we're not showing here are any earthquakes here at Palomar Mountain. Palomar Mountain is where the observatory is. There is a great big huge telescope here. A great big huge telescope here. We have had earthquakes here at Palomar Mountain as well. 7,000 feet high. They have snow here. A lot of snow. Snow fell here above 3,000 feet. Plenty of snow here at Palomar. Down there at Lake Henshaw, that is about 1,000 feet above sea level. All they got there is rain. Okay? Right here. This is northeast San Diego County. Someplace around Fallbrook, California. A 1.1 tremor here. This is on the Elsinore Fault. These earthquakes down here to the west are on the Elsinore Fault. You can see it here. It's that red fault zone running over here from over here near Lake Elsinore. Okay? The Elsinore Fault. Over here on the western side of the Salton Sea, that's a different story. This is Borrego Springs, the Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. This is a 1.1 tremor here. The San Jacinto Fault. The San Jacinto Fault. And you see that fault coming out of here. It runs up here near the San Andreas. Okay? It comes down here. More earthquakes here. Ocotillo Wells. Ocotillo Wells. This is just on the western side of Cuyamaca Mountain. Western side of the Chocolate Mountains. They call it Cuyamaca Mountains the Chocolate Mountains. As I explained here yesterday, the Cuyamaca Mountains are what the movie producers showed Top Gun jets flying over the top of. The Chocolate Mountains. Northwest of here. Again, this is all Borrego Springs, the Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. You see earthquakes hitting here. Okay? 0.9 microquake, 0.7, 1.1 tremor here in Borrego. Again, this is a 1.1 here. This is a 0.9 here, and right next to it, another earthquake here. They will let me bring it up here. Right here is another 1.0 tremor here. Borrego Springs, California. Then we come over here. The USGS is only showing one earthquake here in the Imperial Valley. This is interesting. There are several seismographs all over this area. There's one here. They say this is 4 kilometers east of Westmoreland. Westmoreland is right up here. There's a seismograph here. If I showed you the seismogram here, guys, there would be more than just one microquake here. Probably tremors and maybe even some earthquakes here. But USGS is not showing that, are they? No, they're not. Not a thing. Sad. Sad they're not showing anything. This is El Centro Naval Air Station. Over here at El Centro, they have another seismograph. Over here at El Centro, we're seeing 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes. Some of those earthquakes are magma generated because there's magma running beneath El Centro Naval Air Station. Fact. Fact. Over here, this is the town of Imperial. There's also a seismograph located here. There's usually a bunch of tremors and microquakes here, and occasionally some 3.0 earthquakes as well, and sometimes minor earthquakes. They're not showing anything here. But this is, all these earthquakes are an everyday occurrence here in the Imperial Valley. Interesting to note. Very interesting to note. Down here, this is the town of Brawley here. The town of Brawley. And south of Brawley, we have another town. It's called Holtville. There just happens to be another seismograph located here at the Salton Sea Desert Research Station here in Holtville. We've seen tremors and earthquakes here in Holtville as well. Every day. Every day. Let's go up here. Just southeast of the Salton Sea here, in the town of Calipatria. They have another seismograph here. Lately, they've turned it off. The last month or so, they've turned it off. Prior to that, for several more months, they had turned the seismograph off here at Calipatria for 12 hours a day. Prior to that, for 4 years, we've seen 150 earthquakes a day recorded here at Calipatria. Interesting. Interesting that they don't show us a darn thing here. Nothing. Over here, where the Salton, the San Andreas Fault, right here. The San Andreas Fault runs underneath the Salton Sea right here. This is Bombay Beach. Every day here at Bombay Beach, we have 3.0 to 3.5 earthquakes every day. Multiple earthquakes. Anywhere from 5 to 10 earthquakes every day here at Bombay Beach. Interesting that they don't show us anything here as well. Fascinating, Mr. Spock. Fascinating. Also off the coast, okay, we showed you earlier earthquakes over here at Malibu, California. We have another red earthquake here. San Pedro, California. Just off the coast of San Pedro. This is 1.1 kilometers deep. A half mile deep off the coast of San Pedro right here. This is the town of San Pedro, California. Fascinating, huh? A 1.1 tremor off the coast. This also is a new earthquake here since we looked at this area when we first came on the air. This is a 1.7 tremor in Carson, California. We have a seismograph located in Carson. We've had many earthquakes here in Carson. A lot of earthquakes here in Carson. Mostly tremors, but we've had earthquakes here as well. 3.0, 3.7 earthquakes here in Carson. Interesting, this is also 14.3 kilometers deep. 7 miles deep. So we are having earthquakes here in Los Angeles. I will bet you, because I know we have seismographs all over Los Angeles. I haven't showed you them this week. But every day, folks, every day I show you minor earthquakes and tremors all over this area. 2.2, 2.5, 2.7, even some 3.0 small earthquakes here in Los Angeles. Every day in various places. We've had these earthquakes over here in Malibu. Now we have other earthquakes hitting over here in San Pedro and Carson, California. It's very possible that we could have a larger earthquake here this weekend. People should prepare. People should prepare. I'm just saying, guys, you need to prepare. USGS is only showing 2 earthquakes here in South America. This 5.1 here near Cumana, Peru, northern Peru, and this other earthquake over here in Ecuador, Monte, Ecuador, 4.4 moderate earthquake here. These are not the only earthquakes here. There's about 20 earthquakes here in South America, along the coast between Chile, San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina, Peru, and Colombia even. They're not showing us anything here. Over here in the Atlantic Ocean, they're not showing us any here. Why? Why? Right here in the North Mid-Atlantic, right here. We had a 5.1 earthquake here earlier. They're not showing it to us. Inquiring minds want to know. USGS, why are you lying to us again? Be honest with us. Our inquiring minds want to know, why are you lying to us again? We want to know. Over in the Azores, near the Mid-Atlantic Fault, we had a 2.1 earthquake. Sorry? A 2.1 earthquake right here. South of there in the Canary Islands. Okay? Another 2.1 earthquake, doggone it. Another 2.1 earthquake here. Darn it, darn it, darn it. Right there. A 2.1 earthquake here. Okay? Of course, the USGS is not showing us that. They're not showing us any earthquakes here in Spain or Morocco here. A 2.8 earthquake here in Morocco. Earthquakes in Spain and France here. Earthquakes here in Spain and France. Okay? France, going north from here. This is a 2.4 earthquake. Going north, I'm just going to quickly read out these earthquakes here. A 2.2. A 2.4. Another 2.4. And over in Brittany, France, another 2.4 earthquake, just south of England. Then, I want to show you all these other earthquakes in France and also Switzerland. Okay? Let's go over to the Swiss Alps. A 1.5. A 2.3. 2.3 in the Swiss Alps there. Let's go north into France again. A 2.0, a 2.3, and a 2.2. There's a 2.3 there. Down into Italy. I'm not going to name off all these earthquakes, but from northern Italy down into central Italy, we have 40 plus earthquakes. 40 plus earthquakes. USGS shows us one. Aveyah, Italy, a 4.3 earthquake, 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 kilometers deep, or 6.2 miles deep. 40 plus earthquakes in Italy. Down here to the south, this is a 1.9. Folks, the one thing that I can promise you here, we have probably close to 50 earthquakes here. There is going to be a large earthquake here probably as early as this weekend. With 40 plus earthquakes here, minor tremors, minor earthquakes, and small earthquakes here, up and down the entire coastline here. Okay? This one here between the 20 earthquakes here is a 0.0 tremor, a 0.0 microquake here in Tuscany, Italy. There's going to be a large earthquake hit here probably this weekend. The last time we had this many earthquakes, we had a 5.1 here. USGS, again, not reporting any. Okay? Croatia. Here in Croatia, there's a 1.2. USGS showing us 0. Nada. The second one just south of there is a 2.5 here. A 2.5 in Croatia here. They're not showing us anything, right? How about these earthquakes in Greece? They're not showing us any earthquakes at all in Greece. Nada, 0 zip. 1.0 tremors all the way up to 4.5 earthquakes in Greece. In Greece. Down here. Okay? The island of Crete. We have a 2.0 in central Crete, a 2.6 here just along the coast, west-south coast of Greece or Crete, a 2.7, another 2.7, and another 2.7. 3 2.7s just south central of Crete. Okay? They're not showing us those either. Why not? Inquiring minds want to know. Northeast Greece, a 1.6 earthquake right there. Going over into western Turkey, plenty of earthquakes there, mostly 2s. Okay? Over into the island of Cyprus, a 1.7 tremor there. Cyprus. Then we go over here into the area, the region of Turkey and Syria. Look at all these earthquakes here. About 50 earthquakes here in Turkey and Syria. Why? This is the same area, folks, where a year ago we had a major 9.0, 10.0 earthquake hit here. These are all aftershocks of that 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that hit here a year ago. These are aftershocks. This is the largest number of earthquakes we've had here in forever. A lot of earthquakes happening here in Turkey. Turkey and Syria border area. They're not saying a darn word. Why not? USGS, why are you not saying anything? Why are you not saying anything? Just in Italy alone, probably close to 50 earthquakes in Italy alone. 50 plus earthquakes down here in the Turkey-Syria border region. That's close to 100 earthquakes that they haven't even talked about. 25 earthquakes in Greece that they have not talked about. Inquiring minds want to know. I'm disturbed. I'm deeply disturbed. Not emotionally, but I'm angry. I'm angry. The people in Turkey in Syria are suffering. They've had a civil war going there for a very long time. They've had earthquakes that have displaced the citizens. People living on the streets, on the sides of roads, because they don't have a place to go. USGS says nothing. Says nothing. To give you an idea what happened today in Indonesia, look at this. This is what I'm talking about here. USBS doesn't show a darn thing. Nothing. How about Australia? 2 earthquakes, one in central Australia. This is a 3.0 minor earthquake, or a small earthquake. A 3.0 small earthquake here in central Australia. Flinders Ranges, South Australia. a 3.0 earthquake. Down here in southeastern Australia, we have a 3.2. USGS says nothing. I talked to you about that 5.1 earthquake over here in the Kermadec Islands. Look at the other earthquakes here in New Zealand. They show none. They show none. They just show this 5.1 here in the Kermadec Island. Not 5.1. Sorry, it was a very strong 6.1 earthquake. My apologies here. A 6.1 earthquake in the Kermadec Islands. Hawaii. Hawaii. We need to briefly talk about Hawaii before I leave you tonight. We need to talk about this. There's a large number of earthquakes that have hit here on the island of Hawaii. Okay? 50 plus earthquakes have hit here in Hawaii today. Down here south of Pahala, we had a 5.7 earthquake that happened right here earlier today. A 5.7 large earthquake right here, southeast of Pahala. This is a very damaging earthquake. I do not have any idea. I have not heard any reports of damage coming out of here from Pahala. Now, I have told you that there is a magma plume down in the South Pacific between the South Pacific Islands and South America. A deep magma plume coming up from the center of the earth. The magma plume comes up into the crust and it supplies magma to all the volcanoes. It comes up here to Pahala. This is one of the reasons we have earthquakes here in Pahala, because this is like a gas station for the volcanoes here on the big island of Hawaii. I do not think that this earthquake is a result of magma coming into the island. This may be magma coming over here into Pahala that may be feeding this major volcano right here, Mauna Loa. All of these earthquakes are down here in Pahala, including the 5.7. Just as soon as I can, I will be searching for any damage reports coming out of the island of Pahala, the big island here of Hawaii. This is the town of Pahala. My dear friend Laura Marie that frequents this chat has family down here in Pahala. Grandchildren have gone to her to the high school here in Pahala. Here in the town of Pahala, a 2.2 minor earthquake, a 1.9 2.0 earthquake, a 2.2 earthquake here. This earthquake that just happened at 2.0. This earthquake at 2.4. And this earthquake on the south side of Pahala, a 2.1. Laura Marie, I don't know whether you've heard from your family here. This pool here that you see here in Pahala may belong to the high school here. I don't know. I just don't know. But those people in Pahala have a reason to be concerned. The people here in Pahala have a big reason to be concerned, because they just got hit by a 5.7 earthquake. Yes, I believe this is a high school, guys. I just zoomed in on my device here. This appears to be a high school here. Okay? We shall see. There's a good-sized parking lot here. And there's another good-sized parking lot over here. So I believe that's a high school. Okay? Laura Marie says the Big Island reported the earthquake today as a 6.3. See, guys? A 6.3. It was downgraded to a 5.7. Thanks, Laura Marie. Laura Marie, have they reported any damage yet? Have they reported any damage? Laura Marie says she sent me a video on Messenger of a bakery that shook pretty hard today. I'll check that. Thanks, Laura Marie. I appreciate that. Laura Marie says, yes, I've heard from family. They are safe. I have 2 grandkids that go to school in Pahala. We're praying for your family and praying for those people in Pahala. This is probably the biggest earthquake that they've had here in a very long time. They downgraded a 6.3 to a 5.7. That is over a half magnitude downgrade. A half magnitude downgrade. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. When they refuse to report seismic activity, and when they do, they downgrade it. By the way, this is 37 kilometers deep. Laura Marie says, yes, the high school's in Pahala, yes. I think we found it. Thanks, Laura Marie. I love you. Laura Marie and her husband John are 2 of my best friends. God bless your family. God bless and protect your family. We love them. We love them. Anyway, guys, does anybody have any questions? Jacqueline says it's very difficult to sit back and watch people suffering in disasters. You're absolutely right. Now, up until now, I've not said anything about the volcano in Iceland. The volcano in Iceland is moving back. It's not as bad as it was yesterday during its ultimate eruption, but it's still not over. If anything changes in Iceland, I'll report it to you this weekend. Okay? It should be a major story because there are people that live in that area. We will be talking about it. Okay? Laura Marie says a lot of shaking, things falling off of shelves, no injuries reported. That's awesome news. Thank you so much, Laura Marie. You're awesome. Jamie Wilkie says, Ron, do you think Seattle, Washington will get hit with some earthquakes soon? It's very possible. That's very possible. Within the last 20 years, Seattle's been hit by 2 good-sized earthquakes. A 6.3 and I believe a 5.7 just south of Seattle. I'll give you more information. I think those are the numbers. It's been a while since I've checked. They've had earthquakes 20 years ago. It's likely to happen again. In fact, I think it's been over 20 years ago. It's very likely to hit again. And this time, it'll be more dangerous. Because the more people you have moving into that area around Seattle, the denser the population is, and the more chance for people to get hurt. Okay? That's what's happening. And yet the agency continues to show no regard for the public, to not tell anybody what's happening. I resent that. I resent that, and so should you. Many of you have written to USGS, and rightly so. USGS should be reporting all of the earthquakes, every last earthquake, without fail. They continue to disregard that request. If you go to the earthquake map at USGS, click on that little settings star up to the right-hand corner of the page. Make sure you have clicked. Let me show you, in fact. Let me show you this. I'm going to move this map over. They're showing us 303 earthquakes here. Worldwide. Worldwide. I've shown you now probably close to 800 or 900. 800 or 900 that they are not talking about. Let me take my big mug down here for a minute. Go over here and click on this settings wheel. Okay? Click on that settings wheel. When you do, a drop-down menu is going to come up. Go down here and click on 1 day, all magnitudes US. All magnitudes US. They are not going to show you all magnitudes worldwide. I don't believe they've ever done that. Okay? They've shown us 30 days significant worldwide. 30 days magnitude 4.5 and larger worldwide. 30 days 2.5 minor earthquakes and larger. And 30 days all magnitudes US. They have no desire to tell us the truth. They used to do that. They used to show almost all earthquakes worldwide. But they don't do that any longer. They're showing 304 earthquakes worldwide right now, which is a crock. It's a crock. Something's wrong. They're showing one earthquake down here off the coast of the Big Island, southwest off the coast, southeast off the coast of the Big Island. This is near Nalahu. Nalahu is an under-seamount volcano. An under-seamount volcano. The same thing with these. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. An under-seamount volcano here. All of these earthquakes, I believe, belong to these under-seamounts. This is a 2.3. This is a 2.9, 3.0. This just off the coast is a 2.2. And this further off the coast here is a 2.3. Under-seamount volcanoes here. One day, we're going to have another island here, or the Big Island will have more land here, one of the two. Okay? That's going to happen. Also, guess what? This was not here earlier. Let's take a look at this. Guess what, guys? We have an earthquake here at Mauna Kea. Rarely do they ever show earthquakes here at Mauna Kea. Mauna Kea is where NASA and other agencies have a telescope and other seismic devices here. This is a 2.2 minor earthquake here at Mauna Kea. And I will bet you dollars to donuts, there's another 1 or 2 dozen earthquakes here at Mauna Kea, because they don't show them here. Usually there's more earthquakes here at Mauna Kea than there are here at Mauna Loa. Okay, that earthquake here at Mauna Kea wasn't here earlier. Fascinating. In fact, that earthquake hit at 18:38 Eastern Time tonight, just before I went on the air. So I didn't see that earthquake here earlier. Okay? just so you know. Any other questions, guys? I'll be happy to take any questions in the final moments here. I think that's an interesting development here on the Big Island. Okay? An earthquake at Mauna Kea. That's big news. That's big news. As well as a 6.3 in Pahala this morning. So we had a 6.1 in the Kermadec and also a 6.3 on the Big Island. That accounts for those wavy lines over in the seismograms at Mount Rainier. 6.3 in Pahala and a 6.1 over in the Kermadec. Fascinating. Jamie Wilkie says, I feel the tremors all the time. That's not surprising to me at all. Not at all. Okay? Not at all. Ever. I know I've been all over the place with these earthquakes tonight. Literally everywhere. I wanted to make sure that you saw these earthquakes. I thought it was very important that we showed you all these earthquakes. Okay? DJ Daly's asking, what's causing all these increased activity? What are they so afraid of? That's what I want to know. Why are they so afraid of showing the truth of what's going on? What's causing this? Folks, we just had the largest solar flare in years. This was an X3.4 solar flare. And scientists believe it was even larger than that. We talked about that at the beginning of this program. If you want to know more about that, after we get off, go back to the beginning of this program and watch it. This is very important information, as well as that earthquake in Malibu, California today. Okay? It's important. Any other earthquakes here? Any other comments or questions? Demon Catman says they're having elite political problems. You're right. And Demon Catman, Obama's executive order when he was president made a big change to the reporting. You're right again. Good old Obama. And he's still, I believe, running his third term through Biden. Okay? That's my political commentary for today. And yes, I could go on here for hours about what happened. By the way, we just briefly, before we got off the air, talked about Tucker Carlson going on the air last night, broadcasting his interview with President Putin. For those of you that didn't see it, you ought to go take a look at that interview. It's very important. Even though during the interview Putin lied, but he also told the truth. And we did get a lot of information that the Democrat Communists of America did not let us know about. That did not want us to know about. Okay? Incredible. Incredible. Folks, if you want to support this program, you can send us a note to our P.O. Box that you see listed here on the banner. P.O. Box 422, Valdese, North Carolina. Zip code is 28690. You can send us a donation inside of a card or a letter. We'd appreciate that very much. You can also help support this program and keep it on the air by visiting our Venmo and our PayPal addresses down below this program tonight in the top of our program description. I want to also thank Donna and Gregory Howard for sending us a PayPal donation today. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much, Donna and Gregory. We appreciate that. Please, folks, please help support this channel. We need it. We need it. The cost of bandwidth just went up again another $20. While that doesn't seem like much, electricity is going to start going up by 40% within the next 30 days. That's still a lot of money. There's a lot of other costs that I'm still incurring in fighting my cancer. Yes, I'm in remission, but I'm still trying to pay off my doctors, and they're knocking my door down. So anything you can do to help me, I'd appreciate it. Don Patoka might also need our help. If you send something to me in the course of business, I'll send it on to Don as well. He just lost his wife last week. God bless you, Don, my friend. I love you very much. Sun Gazer says, yeah, they make record profits. You're right. They absolutely do. Janelle says, the Iceland situation is only just the beginning. You're right. You're right. Because the Mid-Atlantic Fault is splitting Iceland in half. I'm sure of it. I'm dead sure of it. I've done a lot of studying. I'm dead sure that the Mid-Atlantic Fault is separating Iceland. And it's not just the volcano that's doing it as well. Jacqueline says, I hope your doctors are holistic, or otherwise it can make you come back worse. You're right. I did have to have radiation. The radiation killed the cancer, together with a shot from, actually 3 shots from my urologist. I'm in remission. Yes, I'm also taking drops like you see here. I'm also taking vitamins to help fight the cancer, and I've been very successful so far. Sun Gazers talked about the Florida waterquake. Yes. I believe it was either yesterday or on Wednesday we had a 5.1 earthquake off the coast of Florida. Now, there are no earthquake faults or very small earthquake faults off the coast of Florida. Now, they say it was semi-deep. It wasn't. It was still a very shallow quake. But folks, I don't trust the USGS. I don't trust our government. The last time we had an earthquake in that region, it's because we had a ship that dropped an explosive into the ocean off the coast of Florida. Most of you will remember that. That may have been an earthquake off the coast of Florida, but it may have been man-made as well. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Since there's really no huge earthquake faults at all off the coast of Florida. Just saying. Carla Max is saying crustal displacement. That's possible. Crustal displacement. It's possible. If it was far enough off the coast, I don't think that's the reason. Jacqueline says, keep your acid low. I'm keeping my acid low and my sugars low as well. That's very important when you have cancer, especially with what I have. Canadian Patriot 1 is in our chat saying, I agree with you, Ron. Canadian Patriot, I had he and Barry Prince on the show on Wednesday. I want to thank both of you for being here with us on Wednesday. Let's do that again very soon. Very, very soon. I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank all of our mods that keep us honest here and keep everybody else honest here as well. Our mods do a bang-up job. They help each and every one of you. They help me as well. I love our mods. I love our mods. Laura Marie says, my granddaughter was in her geometry class at Valhalla High School when the earthquake hit. She said the floor shook hard and it felt like it rolled. Then the power went out. They got under the desks. That's a great thing. I'm so glad that they got under their desks. Jacqueline says, we care about you, Ron. I care about you all as well. That's why I take my time here. I'm now going on almost 3 hours here on the program. I did not expect us to be here much more than an hour and a half. I had taken a great lot of time of yours just to make sure you got the information tonight. Hart said in New Zealand 6.1 just now. If that's the case, this will be the second 6.1 in New Zealand tonight. Let's go over there and take a look at that right now. They probably don't even have it listed here on the USGS map yet. That would make sense. That would make a lot of sense. Go figure. Let's go down here to New Zealand and see what we have. I just don't trust them, guys. I don't trust the USGS any further than I can throw any one of them. And I'm only talking about the management. No, they don't have that earthquake here in USGS yet. Go figure. Just for kicks and giggles, let's check my device here. LN says, thank you, Ron, for your time. We appreciate you so much. Like I said, I appreciate all of you. You guys are the reason I'm here. I'm trying to help protect you. I'm trying to give you the information you need so that you can make sure you're prepared for whatever's going to happen. And that's important. So far in the Kermadec Islands, we have a 3.09, a 3.33, a 6.1 earthquake. Down in the Catcher's Mitt, we have another 4.6 earthquake. Laura Marie just gave us a $50 super chat. Laura Marie, thank you for that. God bless you. We sure appreciate it. And God bless your dear family there. Anyway, like I said, in the Catcher's Mitt in the Bay of Plenty, we have a 4.06 earthquake. Over off the northeast shore of New Zealand, we have a 2.31. There's a 2.31. Okay? Further south and west, Gisborne, New Zealand, a 2.25. I'm going to go further west, north of Taupo Lake, Taupo Volcano. This is a 2.49 earthquake here. Okay? South and west of Taupo Lake, and this is near Manawatu, Wangangi, New Zealand, we have a 2.38. 2.38 earthquake right there. Okay? Let's go east again on the coast of New Zealand. A 2.1 and a 2.5. Down on the southern side of New Zealand, near Wellington, New Zealand, a 2.34. Over on the far west side, on the west side of New Zealand, this is also just east and northeast of another volcano. We have a 2.53 earthquake there. Down on the South Island, just northwest of Christchurch, it's showing a 2.74 earthquake there. A 2.74 earthquake there. We have two earthquakes in South Park, New Zealand. The West Coast, Jackson Bay, New Zealand, we have a 2.45, and one other earthquake here in the South Park, Southland, New Zealand, I should say, a 3.33 earthquake here. Right there. The other 6.1 still has not shown up here in New Zealand at all. Okay? It would not surprise me that they don't show it to us until much later. Okay? That was just the European map that I just got through showing you. USGS is not showing any earthquakes right now. Let me bring it back up. Take down my banner real quick. Oh, they frozen my map again. But you're just going to have to take my word for it. They're still not showing any earthquakes in New Zealand at all, which is sad. Not showing any earthquakes at all. Sweet Polly Purebred says, waiting for the ring of fire to pop up. I agree. And it will. It will. Today is 6.5 in the southern ring of fire. Kermadec Islands. You saw all those other earthquakes in Indonesia today. Let me go back here and show you that. Look at all these earthquakes here in New Zealand here. Or not New Zealand, I'm sorry, Indonesia. Look at all these earthquakes here. And they're not talking about it. One earthquake in Papua, Indonesia, 5.06. USGS not showing anything. They're not showing those two earthquakes that I showed you in Australia. There's plenty of earthquakes in the ring of fire. Plenty of them. And I showed you earthquakes over here in Japan. I've shown you plenty of earthquakes today in Japan that they're not showing us. What the heck is that? I showed you an earthquake just east of the Kamchatka Peninsula, a moderate 4.75 earlier. I showed you that too. They're not showing any of that. They're showing plenty of earthquakes here in the Aleutian Islands in Alaska. They're not showing that either. Okay? They're not showing hardly anything. And then all the earthquakes up and down the entire west coast of North America. They're not showing all those either. They are lying to us. They're lying to us. Over 100 earthquakes over in Turkey and Syria today. Another 100 earthquakes in Europe over in Italy, France, and Spain. Okay? They're not showing any of that. Why not? Sweet Polly Purebred says, I agree, ready hazardous map is what would happen to Santa Cruz in California. Same thing, liquefaction. Liquefaction, you're right. There's going to be liquefaction up and down the entire west coast. Promise. Promise. There will be coming earthquakes in England. That hasn't happened lately either. They don't tell us about that. They hardly tell us about earthquakes in Iceland. I have to pull that information myself. But again, seismic activity is lessened in Iceland. There are still some earthquakes hitting there, and the volcano's calming down. I have a feeling between tomorrow and Sunday, unless something major happens, that volcano will die out again. We'll see what happens. Okay? Folks, don't forget to do a couple other things here. Okay? Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, that like button. Make it sound off. Make that button sound off. It shows 153 likes. If you haven't already hit it, make sure you hit it hard. Okay? YouTube needs to make it seem hard. Otherwise, they're not going to let anyone on YouTube see our program. This is probably one of the most important programs on YouTube today. Nobody else is showing you any information like we are. Nobody. Now, we've been here nearly 2 hours now. 3 hours. Before I get going any longer, I want to share something with you. This is in Timothy in the New Testament. In chapter 2, verse 7. Actually, chapter 2, verse 7 and 8. Whereunto you I am an ordained a preacher, an apostle. I speak of the truth in Christ, and lie not. A teacher of the Gentiles in faith and verity. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. We need to learn to pray. We need to learn to pray, brothers and sisters. Prayer will get us out of a lot of things. Prayer will help us. There is a hymn that says that prayer will turn night into day. Don't forget to pray. Okay? Don't forget to pray. In chapter 1, verse 5 as well, I might as well share with you that. Now the end of the commandment is charity. Charity is a pure love of Christ. Now the end of the commandment is charity, out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned. In other words, unfailing faith. Unfailing faith. We need to keep going. We need to keep helping each other. We need to keep helping each other. Brothers and sisters, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Brothers and sisters, I ask the Lord to be with you this night and every day. Help each other. May God bless you. May God bless your families. And may God help you to understand His will and to understand His gospel. Read the scriptures. Read, study, and pray. That is one way that's going to help us out of the situation that we are in all around this world. Not just here in the United States, but around the world. Again, I want to thank you mods here for being with us today. God be with you. God bless you. God bless you. Sungazer is asking where Pahala High School is on the Big Island. I just showed you a few minutes ago. After we get out of here, you can go back and watch this program. You're going to find out where Pahala High School is. I showed you. Guys, I love you very much. May God be with you this day and always. We will be back here on Sunday at about 12 noon for Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. We're going to find out more about Nephi. We're going to find out more about his brother Jacob on Sunday at 12 noon. God be with you until we meet again, guys. I love you very much. We will see you on the other side. Have a great night, folks. May God bless you and be with you. Take care, everybody. Much love. Good evening, folks. This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates. Now, also